lifetime promise from the state of Ohio to keep our parks a frack-free zone forever protected from industrial development, or whether they want to break that promise and to open the parks for some quick cash, one-time game, Monterey-esque kind of pea and shell game, and disenfranchise this fantastic natural heritage. So I am very pleased that we have a number of people that have indicated already in writing their support to keep our parks protected, and I'm joined by a number of members. I see, in no particular order, Representative Bob Hagan of Youngstown, Representative Pillich of Cincinnati, Representative Mike Foley, Cleveland, Ohio, and yes, I see Representative Ted Celeste, Columbus, Ohio, and I think Cincinnati is going to pull ahead here, Representative Denise Driehaus. So we're going to say a couple quick words here, folks. Look, this is unnecessary. Hello, Chamber of Commerce. This is unnecessary. 99.5% of Ohio is already open to oil and gas drilling, all private property with the owner's permission, and the vast majority of our public lands. All the Wayne National Forest, 250,000 acres, all of our state forests and state wildlife areas, whether we like it or not, by law are open today. That leaves a smidge. Our state parks, our state nature preserves, our state scenic rivers. Yes, potentially our rivers potentially are open to drilling. There was an appeals court ruling last year that upheld a permit by the Department of Natural Resources under the previous administration, I'm sorry to say, to allow drilling within 100 feet within the floodplain of the Cuyahoga River. So yes, potentially our scenic rivers, potentially our nature preserves, and of course, potentially all of our parks. So it's unnecessary, it is unwanted. When we go to the great outdoors, we want to go to get away from it all to a natural park, not an industrial park. And finally, it is unfaithful. It breaks the promise. The promise our parks would always be for the people, not for profit. People first. People first. So with that, you know, we are delighted that some of our members of General Assembly have a case of laryngitis. We haven't heard from them. We're not sure where they are. And some of them are like, well, I'm okay with the notion of drilling somewhere. So we're trying to put it to them, what about the parks, preserves, and the scenic rivers in your district? And still we're hearing some laryngitis. But I'm glad we've got some folks with good, strong voices today. And I know Representative Pillich and Fedor wants to join us. Representative Murray, Dennis Murray up there along the lake wants to join us today, but I saw him up in a committee hearing. Representative Clyde, so we have Senator Mike Skindle, unfortunately not available today on a family matter, but we have some very strong champions here. And so who is speaking next here? Is that the great Jennifer Miller's here at Club? Where are you? You're batting cleanup, so let's hear from a member or two of the General Assembly, I believe. Yes, we have a number of leaders. I'm going to go to Cincinnati. Representative Denise Driehaus offering an amendment, a fantastic speech there in the House of Representatives, the final hearing of the Budget Committee. Representative Driehaus, please share a few words.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. This is great. It's always great when people come up from the districts and come see us and tell us what your thoughts are on what we're doing. It's very helpful and it's entirely appropriate. I got to sit on the Finance Committee this year, and I did offer the amendment to ban all drilling in state parks. And really it was beyond that. It was drilling on public lands, which of course includes state parks, but beyond universities, this land at the Statehouse here. I mean, it's just, you know, here's my perspective on this. I was on the Cincinnati Recreation Commission for 16 years in Cincinnati. I have a lot of experience with recreation and parks. And as you move through that and people challenge you and try to take control of the golf courses or some of the lands in Cincinnati, it occurred to those of us that represented the board, these aren't our lands. These aren't our parks. These parks don't belong to the legislature. They belong to the people of Ohio, both now and into the future. And I love that we've got kids here today. Someone back in the early 1900s had the foresight to preserve land for state parks in Ohio for the benefit of all the citizens and to improve our quality of life in Ohio. It's economic development, it's quality of life, and we do not have the privilege of changing what those parks were meant to be, which is assets to the citizens of the state. Once you start drilling, once you start having this kind of activity on these public lands, you create a footprint where that drilling is, but also footprints going in. What about the trucks going in? What about the debris? What about the noise? What does that do to the quality of the park? And that's something that we need to think very seriously about, because as we move on, these parks are left to future generations, and it is not appropriate that we adulterate the parks. And so I stand very strongly against drilling in parks, and I want to thank you all for being here, especially the children, and because you're what we need to be thinking about when we pass this kind of legislation. Thank you.
And Cincinnati again, Representative Connie Pillich.
Okay, all right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming to our state's treasure, the Statehouse, and down here in the crypt to talk about how do we protect some of our other assets. It's really hard to follow my colleague, Representative Driehaus, because she puts it so very eloquently why we need to protect these assets. Now, a lot of you don't know this, but I went to undergraduate in an oil state in Oklahoma, where they have a pump jack right on the lawn of their capital, and they actually are drilling for fuel underneath their capital. That's not really the way things are in Ohio, even though we are a large oil-producing and natural gas-producing state. But I firmly believe that one of the most important things we need to do, in addition to providing good education and strong, accessible, reliable infrastructure, is to have a high quality of life in our state. That's how we attract business. That's how we attract people to want to locate here. And preserving the integrity of our parks is very important to that. So I'm very happy to be here today to stand up with my colleagues to oppose the drilling.
We're going to have at least one more lawmaker, then we're going to go to a couple citizen leaders, but let's have one of our absolute champions who's been with us for a long, long time, and she is leading the charge to protect the parks, and that is the Honorable Pillich and Fedor, Toledo, Ohio.
I don't know about you, but in my district, every single levy that we have for our park system gets passed before any other levy, like schools, because we love our parks. And citizens in Ohio, over 11 million, understand how important it is that when you're off of work and it's been a long, hard week and you need some vacation time, that the state of Ohio has protected our state parks for their use, for their recreation, and that means a lot to them. So over this period of looking at a bill where Governor Kasich says we need to drill in our state parks to save our state revenues, people have spoken out. And nearly 75% of the people in Ohio said it's not wanted. We don't want drilling in our state parks, nature preserves, or wilderness areas. Keep it ours. The fact is, it's unnecessary. We will not get the revenues that the governor is promising. It will end up being a broken promise. I guarantee you that. There will be too many complicated issues, and I think it's just a pie in the sky revenue plan and something that he's handing out to his friends in the oil and gas industry. It's unwanted. The people of Ohio have spoken. They do not want gas drilling in their state parks, nature preserves, and wilderness areas. And as we discovered around the United States of America, in Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York, Arkansas, Texas, this modern day deep well drilling, Marcellus shale drilling is not safe. Time after time we're finding out that the water is becoming very polluted. The surface water protection is our job, legislators. It's our job to protect the groundwater for our citizens. It's not under the hands of a governor who wants to hand it off to his friends in the oil and gas industry. Their business is underground. They know a thing or two about drilling, but they know nothing about protecting our groundwater and our air. So we have three messages. It's unnecessary, it's unwanted, and and it's unsafe. The US EPA report is not due until 2014. This is 2011. And other states are putting moratoriums on this unconventional, unsafe drilling. In the state of New York, Pennsylvania, they're having problems. They're slowing down the process because, for example, Chesapeake is not fulfilling their lease and making sure the roads are passable. They're not fixing the roads as they're using them throughout their communities, and people cannot travel safely on their roads, and the conditions are terrible. So we have a message here to the governor. We don't believe you that this is going to be a revenue stream that we can depend on. There's too much at risk for our parks and the safety issues, and the bottom line is the oil and gas industry can already drill on over 99.5% of the land in Ohio. They want the remaining. Well, we are going to fight to keep it safe so that we can have our park systems for 11 million people, not the few oil and gas industry folks that want those revenues. So thank you for coming and enjoy our parks. Thank you.
My name is Jen Miller. I'm with the Sierra Club Ohio chapter, and we have something for you in your fight. We have
a paper trail. I like paper trails if you know me. What is this?
Representative, this is actually it's about 1,000 signatures against drilling and fracking in our parks. And we know that you are a champion and you'll carry these around and you'll show these to people. So we're asking that you do that for us. And I wanted to just mention that so far we've had over 7,500 people email their legislators saying that they did not want their parks drilled in. We've had 150 citizen advocates trek around the Statehouse telling why their parks mattered and why they should not be drilled in. We have had hearings that we have been in since 2:30 in the morning that started at 7 o'clock at night with people saying they didn't want their parks drilled in. Dozens and dozens of everyday people saying that our parks should be preserved, and countless people have called their legislators. So today I want to thank Representative Fedor and all of our brave environmental champions in the State House for standing up for us. Thank you so much.